All right. Well, I'm PH, one of the directors of the short film Canary.
And I'm Ben, the other director on the short Canary.
And I'm Daniel. You're joining me for TheMovieBuff.net at TIFF. So great to have you guys here. You're obviously in Toronto. I am obviously just in not a beautiful background like you guys have.
Well, we're lucky. Yeah, we're in a nice hotel. We're at the Sheraton in Toronto, and look, this was the best, by far the best view of our room. So.
I like it. And now you guys had the premiere last night. So how did that go?
Well, it was amazing because we got to go in there, and there were also the other filmmakers. So it was awesome to see like all these different types of shorts. They chose to start up with Canary, so it was almost like old school, start with the animation, before the feature. But it was fun. I think it warmed up the crowd nicely. It's maybe in that group, I'm gonna say the more mainstream type of film, just a little bit less demanding, but there were some really good ones.
Yes.
Really fun original viewpoints and voices in there.
Okay. Was every single director there?
No, we had how many film directors?
I think there were 4.
Yeah, if it sounds right. So there was so I guess there was only one missing, right? Because there were 5 films. There were five films total. So there was most of the directors were there.
I mean, technically there are 5, since you guys are 2, so you could have pretended to be the director of another film.
Yeah.
Yep. Could get all the glory, grab as many film credits as we can.
Exactly. Now, sorry, you guys also wrote Canary, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yes. There were 3 writers on Canary. There was myself, Ben, and our friend Thomas Michael.
Okay. Was he able to make it out for Toronto?
He was not, unfortunately. He was pretty bummed out, but it just wasn't possible, family reasons.
Okay, fair enough. Now, were you able to gauge any reactions from the crowd with the premiere for your short?
Yeah, it was interesting for reactions this time. I'd say because of the large room with all the people, there were some subtle moments that we usually don't notice reactions, that here we had little, titters, little like things going on. And also because the sound was really finely tuned, there were some sounds and little subtleties we'd never heard. And definitely this was driving the crowd as well. It felt more immersive that way,
Okay, so sounds that you like, they're so low that you hadn't even heard in your film?
Yes, or so defined, like the 5.1 and all the channels and the bass and all these little things. It's just a correctly tuned surround experience. I guess we'd heard it a few times in cinemas, but it was always it was never that level of engineering.
Okay. Now, with the short film that doesn't have any dialogue, can you just talk about the importance that the sound does have, and like how you guys focused on that, how you fine-tuned that?
You bet, absolutely. So it is a film with absolutely no dialogue, and it's a question that we sort of juggled with that choice for a while. In fact, I mean, it was what we wanted to do from the start, but as the process went on, as the production went on, we were always sort of, maybe not second guessing, but just slightly worried that it might not carry through, that for some people it might burst their bubble or ruin the experience at some point, right, Ben? We're just wondering, are they gonna wonder why these minors, who are together all the time are not speaking? So we had to be careful.
But it was a challenge as well, because he wanted to put enough clarity for people to really understand what's going on, but without feeling the need to have the character talk. So if a scene you felt that you needed a character to say something. For us, it was an indication that we weren't on the right path to achieve that scene without the sound. So it was a challenge for sure. But like Pete said, one that we wish from the beginning to do.
Yeah, we weren't going to have the
Okay.
characters, sit in front of each other like we're doing with you right now, and sort of, I would immediately you'd be wondering, why is there no conversation going on? So in terms of direction and setup and how these scenes play out, we had to make choices to support that decision.
So I was gonna do a bit where I would just not say anything, just see how that really breathes. But I felt like that was gonna be too awkward. You guys are gonna be like, "Did you freeze?"
Oh, Daniel, that's great. That's it would get awkward pretty quickly, which is a good example of why we had to be careful. Yeah.
And can you talk about any specific scenes where you really wanted dialogue, but like, because I know the challenge of just even trying to write a page of action without dialogue and portraying the story. So were there any specific scenes for that?
There's one example that comes to mind. Like, we never name our characters, right?
Right.
Whenever the characters, they have to communicate with one another, sometimes to make those communication clear, we kind of like ask ourselves, like, does that need a dialogue? Let's say, like, the chief calling on to the boy. The boy name is Sonny. So for a long time, we'd even test out, like, just saying Sonny is the only word that you hear throughout the movie.
Yeah, off the, fairly close off the top. And this was going to be, it allowed us to give a little bit of information about the character, which was nice, but to have them speak at first and then stop was the worst thing. So we had to, we got rid of that.
And the animators brought the movie to a point where, from the boards, from the reels that we were editing from the sound, compression of the story was getting more clear. So it became at one point obvious that we might get away with
it might work out.
Yeah.
And Daniel, the other example, I was sort of, the fact that the canaries are used to detect, deadly gas, deadly methane in the mine. So we have to sort of set that up. And so that's one thing we always wondered, where are we going to be able to make it clear enough for, all age ranges of people who've heard about that or haven't heard about that without saying it. Or at some points we were thinking about, do we need to put up a sign? Do we need other visuals? And we're happy we finally managed to, find a way, to communicate that important core part of the story. And now you're doing the silent bit.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Honestly, I was freezing a bit there. I was the whole time my internet was trying to catch up, and I was like, "Oh no, they're gonna think I'm doing the silent bit."
And we did. Oh no, we're losing you, Daniel. What was that?
Sorry. Did the miners actually use the canaries for like that purpose of like detecting the methane gas? And when did you come across that in your research?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely insane. We sort of heard about that throughout our lives here and there. Like, I think at one point there was a video game I played that had that in it. And but the craziest thing is, yes, they absolutely did do that. They use them, as these sensitive little creatures to detect stuff, before it gets dangerous for humans. And they kept doing it until 1986 in the UK. So it's just this incredible historical, fact that really inspired us. Yeah.
With something that's admittedly that morbid, how do you change that into a story that has like so much life?
Yeah, that's a good question, because we're fan of cinema that's kind of like more general, like the Miyazaki, the Disney, the Pixar. So for us, the kid and the relation with the bird was what we both believed would lighten a little bit this darker side of that story. And I think a good character, we should have big things to overcome for people to root for them to achieve what they want. And in this case, Sonny really wants to go play outside and not be there. So the contrast between the mind and the outside plays a lot, because we're in the context of a short, and you understand that it's not a ideal situation for a kid. So I believe you root for the character a little bit quicker. So and for that, the character becomes to be more appealing, at least to us.
Yeah, and when it came together, it was this sort of realization we had that the canary and the young boy, essentially they shared the same hopes and dreams, right? The same need to go outside to sort of get out of that very dangerous environment. So it brings them together naturally. There's the logical part, and then obviously this very warm relationship they've developed together, that comes across on screen. It's really the heart of the story for us.
Now, obviously, the Sonny is just kind of a fun tidbit for you guys and behind the scenes. So when did that light bulb go off for the metaphor and just naming him Sonny?
Oh,
I'm just gonna tell housekeeping we're busy. I'll be right back.
Housekeeping.
So sorry.
prends des serviettes.
Yes, this is what it's all about.
The magic of editing.
Yeah.
Carmen, can I keep this in?
Sure. I mean, it's right, Carmen. It's
Yeah.
COVID, so,
I kind of love it. Made me laugh.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Sunlight as well.
Yeah.
For the name that nobody knows, that may know now with this video.
Definitely was by design, because we debated for a long time, should we use it even as the title of our movie?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's either the Canary or Sonny.
Yeah.
And we found out at one point that there was a project of animation that had that name, so we decided to go with Canary, which is cool name for a short film.
Yeah, that other project made the decision easy, because we had a really hard time, making a final decision on the name until then.
Okay. Now, this is just kind of a random question, but obviously you guys are from Montreal. So do you envision these characters, if they were to do dialogue, do you envision them as French or do you envision them as English?
For this movie, they definitely be English, because when we did our research and we set up that story in somewhere around British Columbia
Yeah, we
in
did some
the
virtual
ear-
scouting.
early 1900s. So I'm, yeah,
It was mine country out there, and it sort of fit the, you know, the type of landscape we were hoping to have, and it was important for us to set it within Canada somewhere. So yeah, we explored through Google Earth, and then
okay.
hoping to do some road trips, but we because of COVID at the time, this was like in pre-production, we never got to do that in person, which we would have loved to go down, you know, to go there, to actually go down. They've got mines you can visit, you know, and go underground. But there was COVID and there was winter, and so we learned the interesting tidbit that underground mines close in winter. It's
Yeah.
too cold.
Okay, so how were you able to do research on mines in general? What was that research like?
Well, I mean, it's just amazing now, all the material online, whether it's on, you know, Pinterest or YouTube and so on. On YouTube, you've got these crazy people just going into these abandoned mine shafts and just like these narrow tunnels, and they've got the headlamp, and you're just freaking out looking at it. And then at the other end, you've got historical archives online. You've got these videos that have turned, these are so old that when they were digitized, they're already yellow, you know, the film. So you just see this and you get these glimpses of what it was like down there for the workers. But yeah, we're so lucky to have those resources now.
and I would like to add that we're fortunate with animation, because one of our goals is to always exaggerate a little bit the truth. So the artists that came on board with us as designers, as production designers, they brought in as well their own interpretations of this. So
it was inspirational material to them, but yes, exactly. They completely reinvented it in this style.
Now, one thing, I just love to talk about the visuals for a little bit, just in terms of the landscapes. When the film first opens, can you talk about just selecting that visual opening shot? Because I legitimately thought, okay, is this live action? Because it looks like a background that you went to British Columbia and took a picture of, which is just awesome.
thank you. The guys at Audio Effects and the artists working on this, you know, it started from a beautiful drawing from Gabriel Miles, and
It's a production designer.
yeah, and the guys, this is what they do best, right? So
Yeah, there was a really good group of artists, and we're gonna mention Philippe Sylvain, who was our lead lighter on the show.
Yeah.
And he just did a tremendous job, where we were in love with the initial painting for the longest time on the production. And we never really thought we'd manage to nail it in 3D to that level, you know, and he did. He brought it to the level we were dreaming of. And to see it in movement then with, you know, the leaves swelling and the wind was just like, wow.
yeah, we felt that the establishing shot, we test out various cut of edit within the reel, and sometimes we were pushing it a little bit further, but for clarity, we thought that putting it at the very beginning of the show and opening with this and going down would ease a little bit comprehension of
Give
our
us
setup.
give us a glimpse of what's above, you know, before getting lost underground for a while.
Now, you mentioned British Columbia 1900s as the idea for this. Obviously, you can't go back to the 1900s on Google Earth, but was there a specific was there a specific mining town that like really helped with the art?
Now you've got us a little bit in the sense that there were, but we did sort of make a composite of mining towns from there, from Quebec, from Nova Scotia. We were looking for inspirations with these really old towns.
It's kind of a totally made up set that we created, and we use kind of like the same logic, like there would be a railroad going there, and we kind of, but we made it so that it happened within a valley. So the environment artist made that so that the set is more concise and around this location.
The mine shaft, yeah, around the mine shaft, because usually, as Ben saying, like there's a lot of different machines and secondary buildings, and we sort of reduced it to about 3 main structures that are working together, that make logical sense based on how it was, but that are less cluttered, so you get a clear read on it, immediately.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, going underground, can you talk about, I guess, building, maybe texture would be the right word, just kind of finding the balance between very bright above ground and then just going underground? Like, what was the balance like, trying to find the right shadows, the right mood for under the earth?
Yeah, well, the exploration, was done with the color keys. Again, this was Gabriel Gomez with some nice insights from Ben as well, and just building that contrast between the beauty above and the mind below, because you need to understand clearly why Sunny and the bird don't want to be down. And part of it was also the grittiness, the level of detail. And our 3D production designer Pedro Conti contributed a lot to that look, and it was part of the initial wish that we had to sort of mix sort of a cartoony style influenced a bit by Pixar, a bit by Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, and that's through Gop Gap, our character designer, who went through and invented these amazing characters, and then Pedro Conti, our 3D production designer, he interpreted the characters in 3D, and he set like this level of detail, and this level of texture, and that contrast between, somewhat simplified shapes in the characters, and then all this detail poured on, so it feels grounded, just, it makes it a bit immersive and believable. We wanted to feel that way.
Now, this is a 12-minute short, so how long does it take to animate something like this?
Okay, so from production, it's about 2 years.
We
Wow.
we could say I think 16 months is fair in terms of full-on production,
But you
16
have
months.
to be mindful that Rodeo FX was also building a pipeline around the movie or the short. So,
Okay.
but it takes a long time. Animation takes a long time, especially when you aim for quality. It's
Sorry, just to interject. I hope that tone was for like me being like for 12 minutes. I hope that wasn't rude or anything. That's just mostly like, that's impressive that a detail that goes into it, that it takes 2 years to make a great 12 minutes.
Right. I mean, as Ben's saying, like there's a lot of assembling the pipeline, getting the place to be able to make more of this type of quality animation. And at the same time, when we were starting up production, we were still assembling the team. And the team was just an awesome group of people. We worked with most of them in the past, and these were like the best collaborators we had, all the most talented artists. And what's amazing is quite a few of them, we pitched them the idea, and a lot of them were willing to leave their jobs and come and join us, at Rodeo to make the film. That's how much they believed, in the story. They wanted to tell it with us. So it was amazing. And some people we waited a bit for, because of that transition, all of that together, makes it such a long journey to, finalize it.
Okay. And just for someone like myself who isn't familiar with all the lingo, what is pipeline? Is that program, or is that just laying the foundation for the art?
An artist transfers his work to an artist of another department, and this goes through a number of departments throughout the show, starting with modeling, so just getting the basic objects, characters, and everything done. And then you've got layout, which is just setting the stuff out in the set, and you've got the character sculptures that go into rigging, which is what allows you to make them move after, which goes to animation, which goes from animation to lighting, and so on. So all these departments need to be able to, trade that information. And in a very efficient and well-built pipeline, they're able to work in parallel as well. So you can have animators working while lighters are working, and they can constantly sort of exchange that information and update it.
It eases the communication between the artists so that they can achieve more in smaller.
They can build together essentially. It's like interactive Google Docs where a lot of people can write at the same time or stuff like that, but apply to a 3D film.
Cool. Now this is just maybe a technical question, me like learning about pipelines for the first time here. Do like an average, how long would it take to build a pipeline for a project?
Oh, that is such a hard question to answer, because it depends on the choice of softwares you make and how new they are and what type of integration they already have. And if they don't have these ways of communicating between themselves, those softwares, then you need to code that, and you need to prepare that and install it on a ton of machines and get those machines to talk. It's just, this is beyond us. We know what needs to be done, but these are just rocket scientists putting this stuff together. So it's a very hard question to answer specifically. Some studios spend like years and years building their pipelines, and then they'll lock it to do a film. And while they've got it locked, they're pushing another version of the pipeline forward and developing it so that the next film they have a more advanced pipeline and so on. So it's an ongoing thing.
Okay, just maybe revisiting the sound. Obviously in the film there are whistles and then like little shouts from the miners as they're trying to get above ground. Who's doing the voices for that? Are those your screams, or are those someone else's?
No, we got an actual cast of voice actors to do those grunts and all of that.
Yeah.
And we're really glad we did, because they're much better at it than we are. And also we got to choose voices that we felt fit the designs, especially Sunny. I mean, we're so happy with the credibility of that voice, the way the young actor seems so genuine. Like we fell in love with his performance when he sent in his demo, and he did so well in his recording afterwards. We were so happy.
Now, when he sends in a demo, is he doing dialogue, or is he just physically acting?
Well, basically we ask for a few laughs and a few other sound.
Yeah.
And
we had help from a casting director called John Stalker, and he was really good at helping us find these voices. He would sort of he knew the script to the film. He knew what kind of grunts or reactions was necessary. So he would sort of list that out, and then when the actors sent in their demos, it would be along the lines of what he had asked, so we could judge more clearly, is it going to work, as opposed to dialogue, as you say, in which case it would have been pretty hard to transpose that.
Interesting. Now, what was it like casting the coal miner with the long beard, the one that's kind of playing with the canary at one point?
Alphonse, that silly, clumsy miner. Only we know him as Alphonse, of course.
And now I do. I love him.
It was great. We were lucky to find somebody with a voice which was I want to say there was a certain warmth to it. We didn't want that character to be just annoying and unlikable. I mean, we like that he challenges Sonny, the little boy, and we like that sort of antagonistic relationship they have. But we didn't want people to hate that character, but to understand that he's down there and he's sort of trying to get the best out of it that he can. So when there's that moment you describe, it's just like he's having a blast because he's had the hard life for a long time, and he gets to, have a little moment of a lighter workload, or so he believes,
Nah, that's awesome. So I don't want to spoil like a big hook for the film, but can you talk about what it was like kind of thinking of the idea of the playing dead with the Canary and creating something that's playful but also helps with the story device of getting the point across of danger in the mines?
Well, it seemed like a natural extension of trying to communicate clearly what canaries do down there, so once we had that flash, it was just like, it's such a playful, boyish thing to do. And
we were really hoping to capitalize on the comedy of that line.
Yeah, and like not to spoil, like if maybe just for myself, what was it like kind of incorporating the fairy tale Boy Who Cried Wolf, that kind of element? What was it like exploring that?
Well, it's always been in the back of our minds for sure, because we grew up with these stories.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's funny, there's thousands of these stories, this was there's a Boy Who Cried Wolf, but all these they've always got that pattern, right? It happens, twice, and then the third time it doesn't work.
And it felt like it was a good way to start exploring that story, because we brought it, I think, to a different conclusion than the actual story. But it's hard to say, but it's consequence, Boy Cried Wolf is a story that deals with the consequence of certain actions, and our character just before he makes that decision, he's presented with the right solution, so that for us that made the journey more interesting, because how does the character what does the character learns from his journey? So the pattern is really similar. But it's also something that, as children, we were warned by our parents, like, don't lie, nobody's going to believe you, or so it's relatable.
Yeah, we liked playing with it. We wanted to make sure to take it somewhere else also,
Yeah.
But we were really happy that there was something familiar to it that people, would connect with.
Okay. Any anecdotes of yourself crying wolf when you were kids?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of one of myself, but my son, one of my two sons, he loves to pretend that he's hurt, and And I would always tell him, well, it's a boy who car-eyed wolf, try to use that example. But now that he's seen our film, I don't think of the canary.
Was he a dog in his past life? Because I feel like so many dogs like pretend that they're hurt just to go for a car ride.
Oh man, well, he loves dogs. So there might be a connection.
I've waited till near the end to ask it. What initially inspired this story?
Right. There's a few different elements to that, but I'd say the very start of it, our co-writer, we wrote this, three of us, Ben, myself, and Thomas Michael. And Thomas Michael, who's a childhood friend of mine, had been to Poland where he's got family. And when he went to Poland, he visited the salt mine of, I'm going to mispronounce it, Wielica. But it's this famous salt mine in Poland, underground salt mine, where it's just completely mind-blowing because you have the tunnels carved out of salt, but also you've got like a little chapel and sculptures out of salt and these religious iconography all sculpted from salt. And it's all underground. So it's a very famous place. And his mind was completely blown when he saw this. So he came back and he talked to us about it. And it was like, yeah, that's really cool. And he was thinking, well, there's not many 3D like mining films out there. This could be a cool thing to do. And while we agreed, there wasn't really a story at that point. So it's just like cool setting, but we need to think of a story. And after a while, yeah. And after a while, we got to talking about canaries and coal mines and stuff like that. And one night I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning and I had sort of the structure of the story that just sort of popped in my mind. So I got up and really quickly sort of wrote out on my iPhone. And this was 12th of August, 2012. So about 10 years and a month ago is when that popped out. And then I pitched it to Ben, and he drew this awesome sketch of the little boy and the canary, and that was a huge influence throughout production, in terms of what the look became. And then it was me, Ben, and Tom just sort of beating out the story and getting the specifics and making it what it is today. But that was sort of the big genesis story of the story.
It's important to mention as well that 10 years ago when PH pitched that story to me, and like I said, I did the drawing, and from that point on we began a journey also of trying to make it, and ultimately 3 years ago we were fortunate to meet Sebastien Therriault.
Sebastien Moreau is the president of Rodeo Effects, and we had a chance to pitch him, and he loved the idea immediately, and he gave us his trust and support to get it made.
And it's greatly because of that we're here today with a completed feature that we've done it with them. So,
but it's short.
But short
feature. Love that. Someday.
So you've had this kind of in your back pockets for 10 years. So is that just advice of working on other projects in the meantime, or just not finding the right partner until Rodeo?
No, we were doing the grind. We were doing commercials. We were directing on a lot of commercials. We had previously trying to kick off shorts. We had
we've done a few
various people trying to help us within that journey. And when you have an idea that you believe, whether you get refusal, sometimes you kind of stick with it, you keep carrying this idea regardless, trying to make it better with each iteration that you can come up with. So I think this is the journey of the project. It's always been there with us. We always believed in it, and we've grown with it, so to speak.
Yeah, it was a very full 10 years with we were essentially doing commercials, as Ben said, and juggling whatever shorts we could. We were doing some shorts, and a few of them we managed to do well and even get into Annecy Animation Festival, a few places. So it was a good training ground.
All right. And now my last thread of conversation, I'd love to ask, have you guys ever had a pet canary?
What?
Ooh, pet canary. My sister-in-law had one.
Ah,
That was cool.
Okay.
But that's the closest we got.
no.
What was the sister-in-law's canary like?
What was this cute little yellow thing called Sushi, and if you keep this and she's gonna go insane. She's gonna be over the moon hearing the name of her pet canary, Sushi, being mentioned.
Good. Now, were there any like personalities of canaries that helped shape this particular canary? Did you name him, by the way, or no?
No,
the
it was
canary
always
is-
Canary.
Canary.
Fitting.
It's yeah, I mean, this thing is sort of it's he's like it's so funny how they sort of support each other, and to us he's like this sort of optimism and hope, and like this sort of little spark of life down there, and that's what we wanted we wanted the canary to embody, is that hope, and playfulness, and yeah. So no, we never went beyond with in terms of the name itself. It just seemed so iconic,
In general, do you guys have like any like childhood pets that you hold into like high regard?
I would say my pet right now, I have a small dog. So
You're not gonna call out his name so that he hears you?
no.
Name is Dog.
His name is dog.
Okay. Hmm, yeah, I mean, my trail of childhood pets, I mean, quite a few of them, but it's so hard when you lose them, experiencing that loss. And I think that was part of the story as well. That's universal, it's sort of a rite of passage of childhood, having a pet that you lose. And I lost quite a few, those shorter lived ones, and then sort of hamsters and cat, just like, yeah, living through that.
Okay. Yeah, I asked because just of the connection between a boy and their pet. So I just, yeah. So that's a good place. I think that's a good place to. So I'd love to just end it there, and thank you guys for chatting with me for, I think, a feature length conversation about a short film.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
Well, there's so much thought that we put in
Yeah.
this movie that we like to geek about what we've accomplished, and there's many layers to this story, to be frank. So and there's many angles. You guys are covering a large span of time as well. 10 years is quite a journey to make a movie, and then there's all these people involved in it that they also have good story. It's all about storytelling, so trying to include those. So yeah, I could go on for hours just telling you how much I love the crew. I love the people that help us make this, but and they have good stories to tell too. So yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, and I'm glad you guys have reached, I guess, I don't know if the end of your journey, but just kind of the beginning of the journey for Canary.
The beginning for us.
Yeah, Canary's
Canary
launched
is
at
launched,
TIFF, so
yeah.
we're hoping that it's gonna travel, all the festivals
Yeah.
for a year, the festival circuit. We wanna, try and have it go as many places as it can.
We hope that Canary finds its audience. And for us is the next journey. We're looking forward to the next projects.